So in today's video, we'll focus on a few key tips on how to get easier lobbies. And I've talked about this in previous Call of Duties because it's always kind of had the same formula. So what I'll do is go ahead and briefly explain how we've done it in the past and then how people are doing it now. Just a reminder, if you do enjoy the video, please take a second to go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're brand new and you'd like to find your way back, I'd definitely consider subscribing with notifications on. So I'll go ahead and start off with how matchmaking has worked in the previous Call of Duties, pretty much all the Call of Duties prior to Modern Warfare. The main reason for that is because in case they decide to change their matchmaking algorithm to kind of tone down the skill-based matchmaking, you're going to want to know these specific tips. So there were several different things you could do to ensure that you get an easier lobby. The number one thing and the most effective thing was to go into a lobby, sweat your life out, and then that would hopefully encourage the best players in the lobby to leave. And since in previous Call of Duties you were able to keep the exact same lobby, it would get slightly easier over time, because if you had a couple people in your lobby that were really good, more often than not they're going to be replaced by an average player or a below average player, because the majority of the player base is either average or below average. There's only a small percentage of players that are actually really good at the game. And why it's really important to understand this concept is very often after I'd post several videos on the channel, people would say, how the heck do you find these lobbies? So the first step is actually just getting good enough at the game to cause other good players to leave the match. And if you're successful at doing that, pretty much you'll just stay in that lobby as long as possible, because everyone in that lobby is either going to be average or below average. The next thing you got to worry about is time of day. A lot of times people don't really think about that all that often. If you're going to play in the evening, you're typically going to go up against better players, because those are typically when the hardcore players play. So those are just a couple of the basics when it comes to finding easier lobbies in pretty much any other Call of Duty. So if you go back, play an older Call of Duty, just follow those basic steps and you're good to go. Now, when it comes to the matter of Modern Warfare, they've completely turned the matchmaking on its head, so it doesn't function anything like we've seen in any other previous Call of Duty. So a couple of things they've gone ahead and changed were that you're not able to stay in the exact same lobby that you had in the previous match. So a lot of times that technique isn't really going to work, because the second you go ahead and get a couple good players to leave, the next match is just going to be reshuffled, and then they're going to throw in a few more good players in there. But for whatever reason, to protect very low skilled players, they've gone ahead and added some form of skill-based matchmaking, where players are assigned a hidden rank behind the scenes based off your previous 5 matches and probably a few other variables. And that information was actually discovered by Exclusive Ace and Drifter. They kind of put their heads together, did some testing, and they pretty much came to the conclusion that there is some kind of hidden ELO or MMR system, which can unfortunately be taken advantage of and abused and actually end up punishing the players it's designed to protect. So how it would typically work is, as you improve as a player, it's just going to continue to put you in higher brackets, the same way a ranked playlist would, but obviously within the casual playlist system. So the easiest way to simplify this is to put all the players into different brackets. Obviously you're going to have the top end players, maybe even pro players, kind of in one bracket because of how good they are at the game, and then you're going to have above average players, then average, then below average, and then you're going to have bad players. Then below that, if you go even further, there's a protected bracket that is specifically designed to protect individuals with some kind of disability or potentially a child that's going to be playing the game, so they can still experience the game without just getting demolished. So there are some people in the community that are 100% for skill-based matchmaking. They think the best players should only play against the best. They should never be in a lobby with a lower skilled player, because that's just not fair. And on the flip side, people play Call of Duty casually and they want to have that experience to actually play it casually, so they actually prefer the way we've had it for the past 12 years. And pretty much how that works is it throws 12 players together in a lobby, and it kind of does a matchmaking balancing act where it kind of tries to make the teams even. So if there's 2 good players, there's going to be a good player on each team. And then they'll pretty much just kind of draft out the players so the teams are as even as possible. And one of the big pros with this type of system is each lobby is fairly random. Sometimes you'll have 4 or 5 good players in them. Sometimes it's just going to be full of bad players, but you're always going to have that randomness when you play a match. So let's go ahead and talk about how people are abusing the skill-based matchmaking within Modern Warfare. People are doing a thing called reverse boosting, and as a result, what they're doing is they're going ahead and forcefully lowering their bracket, and some people are probably even lowering it enough to get into that protected bracket, which I think is completely insane, just so they can get some gameplays to upload on their channel if they're a YouTuber. And then there's other people that are just in the community that love Call of Duty and they don't want to sweat their lives out. So they're going ahead and doing this reverse boosted method. And I know it's just not YouTubers, because if you go to Reddit, there's plenty of people showing off, hey, here's my account. I've died a couple hundred times to make my stats look really bad. So it's going to throw me in a lobby with players that actually have those stats. And then they just go in and demolish those lobbies. So whereas there was a little bit of randomness to the lobbies, people were able to just do this reverse boosting method, and then they just jump into a lobby and it's guaranteed an easy lobby. Even if you're a below average player, you can actually reverse boost enough where you are the best player in the lobby for 5 or so matches, and then it kind of resets, and then you got to go ahead and tank the lobbies another 5 lobbies. So you always got to have this little balance. And I think people are even taking it a step further, where they have an alternate account that they actually session join, and then they have that account leave, so then you end up with the God lobby, or quote unquote noob lobby, and then you're able to demolish it and no one would be able to tell the difference. And I suspect a lot of your favorite YouTubers are doing this exact same thing. Not myself. That's why I'm playing Ground War. In case you guys didn't know, Ground War does not have the same level of skill-based matchmaking. No matter how bad you tank your stats, you're still going to end up in the exact same type of lobby. So that's obviously a huge issue. People are reverse boosting to go ahead and get into these protected brackets or lower skilled brackets and just demolishing those players. Obviously that shouldn't be the case, especially when skill-based matchmaking is supposed to do the exact opposite of that. So that's one of the biggest issues I've found with skill-based matchmaking, is that people want to go ahead and try and find ways to get around it. The other issue is it actually is detrimental to your actual player base, even the people who aren't reverse boosting. I'll give you a quick example. I have about a 2+ KD, and I have a lot of people on my friends list that have about a 1 KD. What ends up happening is if we end up in a party together, I decide to matchmake the lobby, it's going to go ahead and make the lobby based off my individual stats. And you can look up this on Reddit as well. A lot of people are struggling with playing with their friends, because if their skill level is above their friends in a significant way, their friends just get completely demolished anytime they play together. So that pretty much covers how to get easier lobbies. It's not the best method in my opinion, because it's kind of shady to actually reverse boost your account and end up playing against players you have no business playing with, especially when the intent is to do this instead of actually just letting it happen organically. I think they need to switch it, change it back up. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Are you pro skill-based matchmaking and reverse boosting? Or do you prefer a more traditional matchmaking that feels a little bit more random, where some matches are a lot harder than others and some are a lot easier? So those are all my thoughts on the topic. Hopefully you enjoyed the video in some way. If you did, please do me a favor of hitting that like button. It only takes a second. If you're brand new around here or not currently subscribed, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button at this point since you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.